Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? My name is KaleafWins, and welcome to the Why Are People Denouncing Divine Non-Organizations? And here on the KaleafWins Show, it's going to be a great show here. I encourage everybody who watches this video, please put your information in the comments, ask questions in the comments, because this is a dialogue, not a hate-a-log. But for those who don't know, on the internet for about it's really been hyping up to the highest level I've ever seen. A lot of people are denouncing their Greek organizations, and there's a lot of information of people chiming in. Well, I have a great select panel who are literally experts when it comes to Divine Nine conversations. But before we get to that, let's find out what the hoopla is of what everybody is saying on the net. Just a small example of that. Let me say that before I bring up the panel.
The Howard University student who denounced her sorority membership 1 month after joining. This is Zora Sanders, and she has created quite the controversy after publicly announcing that she no longer wants to be affiliated with Delta Sigma Theta sorority. In Zora's public resignation letter, Zora cited scriptures from the Bible, including "Thou shalt not have no other gods before me," and she also mentioned Goddess Minerva, which is a symbol that had been used during her initiation. Zora says the rituals that she participated in during her initiation process into Delta Sigma Theta sorority are in direct conflict with her Christian beliefs. Now, this has been a long established debate within the Black community. Can you serve God and love sisterhood? Many are describing sororities as cults and citing the rituals related to Greek gods. People are very excited that she denounced publicly because they believe it is a win for God. One woman wrote, "Since I repented, renounced, and denounced the Greek letter organization I was a member of back in 2020, I've been praying consistently for our people to do the same. Prayers are being answered. Peace and blessings to Zora Sanders." But Delta Sigma Theta isn't the only Divine Nine sorority that women are renouncing publicly.
I denounce from AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
And this woman by the name of Angela had a very important story to share because her resignation from her former sorority had nothing to do with religion. Angela said that while she was a part of a sorority at a HBCU, her sorority was investigated for hazing, but there was no evidence of hazing ever found. However, as the investigation process went on, the chapter was totally abandoned by their advisor and ignored by regionals and nationals. Their chapter ended up being suspended, but in addition, every member of the sorority was kicked out of school, expelled completely, and they could not finish their degrees. They all had to apply to completely different colleges in order to continue their education. And in retrospect, Angela had this to say about her sorority experience.
I feel like saying denounced makes it seem like I feel like sororities and fraternities, and I'm talking about D9, are inherently bad. And I don't think that. I strongly believe if at the very least our advisor was there for us and showed a united front with us and made sure that we were getting like due process, then we would have had a chance of not being permanently expelled from school. And to add insult to injury, once I was home and settled, I got a letter from the national organization letting me know that I was suspended from the organization nationally and that in 5 years I can rejoin for a fee. So that was like a slap in the face to me because I'm like, so y'all did know. So you were aware. You just chose to leave us out to dry. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is a business, right? It's a business first. All of that sisterhood and community service and all that type of stuff, that's secondary. And that's my opinion, and I'm standing on it.
Like Angela, I think Zora is growing into a woman and deciding what her most important focus in life should be. Have you ever been headed in one direction, and when you got there, you realized this isn't for me?
I didn't think about that because I was so lukewarm. Now, after I came out, I was like, wow, the Sigma light, there's only one light, that's Jesus Christ. He said he's the light of the world. Any other so-called light is not a true light at all. So yeah, for me, that's what it was kind of like. After I got out, I was like, wow, that's interesting now. We had this thing called the Sigma light to light our way to what,
It's been 1 year since I denounced my Greek letter organization. I was a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, and I initially decided to denounce simply because God told me to. I wasn't fully aware of the exact why, but when God tells you to go, it's time to go. I thought it would just be okay to distance myself. I thought it would be okay to separate myself from group chats. But the more I was obeying halfway, the louder and the more urgent it felt to actually make the decision to officially leave. And to be completely transparent, I was scared. I was operating from a place of fear, and I was allowing my people-pleasing tendencies to get in the way of my relationship with Christ. But I want to touch on the soul ties that are formed when you join these organizations, about the emotional abuse. I want to talk about sometimes the physical abuse that you go through. And I also want to talk about the trauma bonding.
I was in Delta for almost 35 years before I denounced. My plan was just to walk away quietly, but the Lord impressed upon me the importance of saying the quiet part aloud. In other words, those secrets that they don't want us to share, the things that they don't want us to say, or even that others are afraid to say. But God commands us. He says, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, yet to expose them.
Joe, right now, that's one side. It's a lot of it going on. I'm here to bring my esteemed group of panelists, part of the Divine Nine organization. They're going to shout out their name, shout out their organization. Let's get right to it. Everybody give a round of applause to everybody that's coming up right now. Yeah. Esteemed panel of specialists. If you hear opinions, you have to go to people who are actually in the organization. So I'm going to start off with Shar. Let it go. Let everybody introduce themselves directly after Shar. Let's go.
Hello, I am Shar, and I am a proud member of the lovely Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
All right, Tori.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tori Lewis. I am a proud member of the Pretty Boy Fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Yo, yo.
All right. Rachel.
Good evening. I'm Rachel Gray, and I am a proud member of the first Black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
All right, Steele.
Yes, my name is Terrence Glade, but some people call me Steel or Steel Biz. I am a proud member of the first Black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
All right, thank you. All right, Sister Jackie.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yes.
All right, Anthony. King Fridge.
What?
Your name and your organization. I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't say it in the beginning.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Fridge.
Okay. Whew. Gosh, I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm talking to Fridge. Can you hear me?
Oh. Yeah. Okay. You can hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Oh,
yes.
yeah.
I'm
Fridge. Proud member of Omega Psi Phi.
All right, Damien. Damien's phone is being a hater. Wi-Fi is being a hater. Cordell.
Yes, Cordell Hall, proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
All
Blue.
right, Heather.
Oh, I was trying to get off mute. Good evening. My name is Heather. I am a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
And Damien.
Damian Davis, proud member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Ow.
And I'm your host, KaleafWins, proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And the discussion that we're having today is why are people denouncing Divine Nine organizations? So let me start off with the first topic. Number one, thank you for everybody for being here. And everybody that's watching, if you have questions, put it in the comments. When it comes to any other subject, people say, you know what, we need to go to the experts who are a part of what people are talking on. We have representatives from the different Divine Nine organizations here. And we have a wealth of information. Hit your questions in the chat. This is a current live stream. Put your questions in the chat so we can most definitely answer them, and then for questions later on. So the first thing I'm going to ask the entire room, how'd you feel about that first video that I showed you guys of just a small correlation of the opinions of people denouncing?
Let me
Anybody?
go first, man. Hey, let me go first, man.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, I think that, and excuse my French, is some bullshit, man, and a bunch of clout chasing. And let me tell you why. Don't nobody make you get in the fraternity or a sorority. So that's a choice that you make. In any fraternity or sorority that you get in, you should get in to bring something to the organization. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no coke. It ain't no uh me do something. It's what you wanted to do. Is what you want to do when you was in college. So you made that conscious decision. And most fraternities and sororities is built off the Bible. I know ours is. I don't know about nobody else. I'm talking about Omega Psi Phi. Omega Psi Phi is built off the Bible. I found this word chaplains and pastors. And so they start now. Humans make mistakes. Humans do stuff that they not supposed to. But you got a choice. You can walk out. Ain't nobody got no guns to your head. So for you to get on the internet and denounce something because of religion is asinine to me. So that's just my take.
No, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to chime in on how the first initial video?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I have my own like general like ideas and notions around just the idea of denouncing. And like I want to be very clear, like my opinions do not represent the organization of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. These are my own opinions, my own views. But I also feel like in those particular stories that we watched, it felt like there's a lot of projection, right? There's a lot of things happening internally that outside of like God and like what they're experiencing on a spiritual level, there was already turmoil happening before they even became a member of these organizations. So it's like you have to take stock in where you're at mentally, where you're at physically, where you're at emotionally, because you will like use those things to fill spaces within the collective gaps within your own consciousness. So a lot of those videos, and I'm not saying this is the case for everybody, but a lot of those videos in particular felt like there was some things happening. There were some things going on that was already influencing why you were doing this in the first place. Right. And it shows in everything that you do, especially if like the organization becomes a large part of your identity. Like you could kind of tell who was really in it because they saw this as like a way to network, a way to like gain a sisterhood. You could like, and then you could tell by others, like a lot of their place within those organizations was guided by some deeper insecurity. And like, that's things where we got to take stock in, not only as like us having this conversation, but as people, like, where are you at to actually be in these organizations, and how much lack within yourself that are you trying to fill with something outside of you? So I'll that's my like for these particular videos. I have my own opinions in large about denouncing, but these particular videos, especially the former story, we're talking about how like it was issues with her advisor and like she felt neglect from on like a national and regional level. So it's like we got to take stock in where we're at and what we're doing before we be like, demonic, evil. Like we got to take stock within us before we start doing all of that.
All right. Thank you both for sharing. Anybody else want to jump in?
I watched a lot of those videos. These videos are not new. These videos, I've been watching these videos for a long time. And it's like it's like anything else. Like people are trying to find something to belong to. And a lot, like she said, like sister said, it's a lot of insecurities within themselves. And they were trying to find something to belong to before they joined the fraternity or sorority. And they're trying to find something to belong to because everybody's is on a mission. Everybody's trying to find something to make them feel important. They use like words, like I watched some of those videos, they use words like demonic and things like just words that they use, like keywords to make people want to engage in their videos. Because the one thing about it too is the internet is addictive, so they know that they're getting attention from the internet, and you could tell that a lot of those people are talking, because some of them speak very well because they're college educated people. You could tell that when those people are talking, they're trying to bring you to feel a certain way, but it's based on their insecurities, what they're going through as far as their own traumas, their own dealings, how they deal with life. I watch those videos, and it's just like when they had, like, during the pandemic when everybody was trying to find something, a lot of people doing cults. They're leaving their organization to go join another cult. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Christianity, but sometimes your church could be based on just pulling you in and doing that in a cult base too, where it's like this is the only thing that you can believe in. It separates you from people, just like they feel like the fraternity separates you from people. So it's a lot of like people trying to find themselves. And they're trying to find themselves. I mean, like Sister said, this has a lot to do with their own insecurities and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, right. And I kind of want to add too, Khalif, if you don't mind.
No, that's what you're here for.
I kind of have a couple of different feelings. Maybe it's the Gemini in me, so I'm incorporating both sides of my feelings or whatever. But I mean, I agree with everybody on the panel so far about, those individuals in particular are having a sense of belonging, trying to have that sense of inclusivity, be part of a group. But I also think it kind of speaks to the times that we're in. I think it speaks to kind of the social media and the internet, like Still mentioned too as well. And to be honest, I kind of got to agree with my boy Fridge. I think big part of it kind of speaks to clout chasing and things of that nature. So, majority of us graduate from the Woo. Our requirements at our alma mater was you had to be a sophomore standard. So we had a chance to be on campus for a particular year, for 2 semesters, in some cases 3 semesters, 4 semesters, kind of observe the organization, observe the fraternities and sororities to really find out what these organizations were about. And we, identify what these organizations are about. We want to be part of it. And through that particular process, and I'm not going to go into specifics of what everybody went through and how we went through it, but we got a chance to kind of really know and understand what the beliefs and what the principles are. I can speak for Kappa Alpha Psi that we were founded on Christian principles. One of our basic objectives is to promote the spiritual wealth of mankind, right? So, and that was heavily influenced and that was heavily promoted to us going through the process and even afterwards. So I think it's kind of, with today's age and, kind of the processes have kind of changed. And I think we all know what we're talking about over the years. And, and also with today's age, there's been this big, what's the word I'm looking for? Promotion of HBCUs and fraternities and sororities. We see it on Instagram, on Watch the Yard, graduations and step shows. And I think today's youth are getting caught up in just what the outward appearance is. Because I got to imagine everybody on this panel is that when we joined our respective organization, we made that organization better. That organization didn't make us better, right? And that's kind of what we were finding out. So I would have to, if I had a chance to meet one of those individuals, particularly some of the younger ones, I would like to challenge them on that. Now, I think there was an older woman that was part of that video. She said she was part of Delta Sigma Theta, I believe it was, for like 35, 40 years. Maybe she just kind of coming around to, some, I don't know. But I mean, I think overall it's just, I think it just kind of speaks to the times. And I personally don't understand it. I've heard about it about 10 years ago for the first time within my own fraternity. And then just kind of this recent wave over the past week or so, just thought, there's been some crazy stuff though.
But before I let Shar and Rachel chime in, it is a recent wave. And Steele is right, that this comes around every period of time. I think everybody added some great information. But being the social media manager that I am with analytics, I know narratives when they brew. And as a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity and part of the Divine Nine family, I hate when I see these brewing narratives. And I know Jackie can speak to it. You can kind of see, okay, it started again. But now why is it catching steam? And for you guys that may not be an analytics freak like I am, it's catching an annoying steam where people, not only outside of the organization, people that want to push their doctrinal agenda, glad I said that clearly because I usually mess up on that phrasing, and people from PWIs and all these forces are trying to start their little propaganda campaign to make it grow so it can affect our organizations. And that's why I'm bringing everybody here. Yes, like Fridge says, a lot of it is clout. But from a social media analytics thing, when I saw this, and I want to share this to the room before Rachel and Char chimes in. When I saw this, Essence Magazine posted this May 21st. Does Divine Nine go against the divine word? Let's talk. While BGLOs are not religious, many have founding principles aligned with Christianity, including perform good deeds and service. Some argue they may denounce BLGOs. They believe the lack of accountability and being young college students at the same time were members essentially idolizing their letters. Calling all members of the D9, do you believe in introducing, and denouncing Black Greek organizations? Now, again, most people can literally say, well, Kaleaf, that's just an article. People post things for clicks. I have a strong concern about the safety of all of our 9 organizations against any propaganda arms that are weaponizing social media as well as the press to start the first dent and try to destroy us, for lack of better phrasing, with 1,000 cuts, if you understand what I'm saying. I stay on media trends on a regular basis. I get worried when things try to come at things that I care about, people that I care about, organizations I care about, and Divine Nine is something I care about. But let me retract. I want Char and Rachel to give their input in the video. And Heather as well. Sorry.
Well, I will say that I'm a Muslim, and there was nothing in the organization that I did where I was worshiping something, where I was idolizing anything. Because as a Muslim, we are taught to worship no God but Allah. And so had I noticed that in the process, I would have immediately stepped out. Like before I even before I went through and got to the end of it, the moment that something was put before me to worship something outside of my God, I would have stopped. I would not have even continued that process. And I think it's quite funny that they're using the Bible, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful to anyone, but they're using the Bible to pick and choose what rituals they're saying they don't want to practice. When they practice Easter, that's a ritual. When they practice Christmas, that's a ritual. When people celebrate Halloween, that's a ritual. When you get up and we're taught to pray, that's a ritual. Some people take ritual baths. Some people go out and do a morning walk every day. That's a ritual. So why are we now picking and choosing what rituals we gonna partake in? Me, I don't think it don't got shit to do with God told me.
Sorry, I had to shoot that off for you. Pardon me, that's a bar. Go ahead.
To do with is you were not adequate enough to go into your organization and make the changes for yourself and your community. And so now, because you didn't get a return in the investment that you thought you should get, now all of a sudden God said, let there be light. Absolutely not. Because you don't have to be in a Black letter organization to do community service. I do community service with the Nation of Islam every month in the nation. I don't have to be a part, because outside of AKA, I'm me. I don't need AKA to make me me. I don't need that. I'm going to be me outside of it. I'm going to be me inside of it. I joined the organization because in my family, we don't have that. So I wanted to create a legacy for my children, but it's what you make of it. And if they got in there and didn't make nothing of it, that ain't got nothing to do with God. So my thing is, let's not pick and choose rituals. If we want to break something down, go into your Bible and go to Jeremiah and let's talk about what God say about eating a pig. Or let's go and talk about what he said about putting up a Christmas tree. Let's break down your Christianity, because that's full of rituals and idols. So that's all I'm saying. You wear a cross around your neck. Isn't that a symbol of the death of Christ? Isn't that let's not do that. Let's not pick and choose. And then you come on and you're exposing things that don't just affect you. This is your organization.
Facts.
That you're going exposing it. Those rituals and ceremonies mean a lot to people. And you're going and you're taking away that experience. And I have to, and I'll say this, and this is not, let me make the disclaimer. My thoughts are not the thoughts of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. This is me. I feel like when they do that, they are, number one, you taking away spots from women and men that really earned the spot. And that really wanted and worked hard to get to make themselves seen or known, but yet you got it. Zora, she ain't even black. Let's start there. Cause she look a little Chinese. She ain't look black to me. So that's number two. So it's just so many things that we can look at when it comes to this, that I think is disheartening. And we have our banter back and forth, aka Delta Estros, but I'm going to stand and protect all of our D9 organizations, regardless to whatever, because at the end of the day, we are all one family. We have our little tools and fuse and all that, but I hate to see it, because that's not what that's not what it was about. This is not what it's about. And people are taking their own interpretation, putting their interpretation into this, and making that the gospel. I just want to ask them, do they celebrate Christmas? That's all I want to know. Because I want to break that. I want them to break that down for me and tell me
Sis, you took the words out my mouth.
Tell me about that. I want to know, do you celebrate Easter? A bunny ain't got nothing to do with the resurrection of Christ. So let's talk about that. Like, don't pick and choose. That's my thing. Don't pick and choose what we gonna call a ritual and demonic, because it's a whole bunch of demonic stuff in the religion that they claim God told them. Like, so let's not.
All right, before I let anybody chime in, I want to play this because of what she just said, because it's something that correlates to what she just said.
Ulterior motives, who knows? I don't know.
And I'm probably going to piss you off even more. Now, I know the definition of sisterhood, and I know some of my Greek brothers and sisters know the definition as well. But this is a prime example of why you cannot allow everybody to come play in your playhouse. You can't. We need to go back to exclusivity, because I swear if we did, these lines, some of these lines wouldn't be more than 10.
Come on.
Oh, okay.
I just have to speak on this because I tell people this all the time in real life. Like, I feel like Greek life is just way too watered down now. Yeah, the exclusivity of it is no longer there. It's really down the drain. Definition of a sorority is a selective society. It's not even selective no more. And you could, if you're another order, you could probably say, oh, well, my people selective. No, they're not. So, like I said, nobody's selective anymore. And it's like when everybody's getting, the same thing, the value of it goes down. Especially when those people are not reputable people. They're not good representations of the organization. It goes down even more. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so disheartening to see the state of Greek life and what is in today. Really breaks my heart.
I see there's been a trend lately where people are like denouncing from their Black Greek organizations, and somebody who's only Greek 5 days out the year, I ain't gonna say nothing on that. I would say though is I wish we could denounce from real things. So the first thing I denounce from is credit card debt. It's student loan debt. Like what? Like Sally Mae Theta, like please release me right now. You feel me? Or Amex, fine Amex, please. All my peace and love, my happiness should not go to credit card debt. Hell, you mean like what?
Hey there. So I really want to delve into this denouncing and then making public information that was provided to you when you were part of particular organizations, sororities, and fraternities in particular. You're out of pocket. If your reason for denouncing is because you are so committed to Christ and Christ has moved in your heart that this is not what you are called to do, don't do it. But to then betray a confidence for the ill-gotten reason of exposing, it's bullshit. Help me understand how denouncing and then putting on blast things that you were, again, given in private and in trust. Help me understand how that is drawing people to the body of Christ.
I mean, again, I hate when I see the narratives because I'm a big comment reader and I study trends. There are people who don't understand the how can I say this? How special this is, and they have a false representation because they're listening to false information.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, I like the exclusivity conversation because things do need to have a level of exclusivity. And again, I'm not going to be the, for lack of a better phrase, the Tom Joyner ass nigga trying to just pump up HBCUs and stuff like that, because everybody at HBCU got their own problems, you know. But I will say that our schools are being affected financially currently. That is a current fact. And Divine Nine organizations are a major, major important thing in our communities. And I don't want to see these attacks. I'm getting tired of people coming in exclusive organizations and trying to destroy it from within. And that's what I have a problem with, because I think there's going to be long-term ramifications to this current viral wave. It might go down, but when it goes down, it comes up higher. And that's my concern. Heather, do you want to tap in because you didn't get a chance to speak, as well as Cordell and then Shar?
All right. So let me just say this, and you know how I always say people love to tussle, but I fight. This is what happens when you listen to these old jackleg preachers that they said that they're called to preach, but they were never taught. There's a difference, okay? There's a difference. First of all, it was heartbreaking and disheartening to see that young lady was not even 30 days in. See, I'm Howard University adjacent. My husband and all of his family went to Howard. All of them were A chapter. So, first of all, one, the young lady that denounced, it's going to be a very interesting senior year for her. Because literally, when they cross, like 2 weeks later, graduation happens. So my whole entire thing is that you're denouncing. You wasn't even 30 days in. You didn't even do your first community service project. The only thing that you have done right now, you did a yard presentation. Listen, I'm not going to say probate, because probate, the definition, what I learned what a probate is not what's going on today. Because in my heyday, when I was in college, people was above ground and we ain't had numbers and everything, but that's neither here or there. And it's just really sad that that she came out, and it was heartbreaking to see my sister Greeks to have to withstand this and to have some type of press release about it, like a cease and desist about it. And then on top of that, who I really, really feel for is the person that was her mentor. Because knowing what I know, and I can only, and these are my ideas, are mine. These are not ideas of views of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Knowing what I know, this young lady had to be vetted. And from the comments of who her mentor was, they said that she was going through this, that she was in their face for 2 years. 2 years. And her main concern, what if I don't make it? You spent all this money, you spent all this time, and it has been said, I don't know how true it is, that there were legacies that were denied to even get into that, to even become part of it. And when you sit up here talking about, oh, idolatry and demonic, y'all are taking, they're taking snips and clips of it. To me, what they sound like, they're newly saved, okay? What it sounds like, these people that are denouncing, they have not settled their own trauma, whatever they're going to. It seems like soon as they denounce, there's some type of new, fresh trauma that they have gone through. It's just, I have so much to say. Like, when I tell you my heart breaks for the women of Delta Sigma Theta, because you have to look at this. This is just not an isolated incident. You have to look at the bigger picture, like Khalif was just saying. It's just the fact that we're all going to have to take a hit. And there is actually, and I think you have, I don't know, Khalif, if you have the clip, there was an attorney, a
Oh
member
no,
of
that's coming up next. That's coming up
okay.
next. You're
Okay,
gonna
so
prep
I'm
the
jumping
clip, but
ahead.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and I agree with her. When you see the clip, then you'll understand when I say I agree with her 100%. But it's just that there's something that is going on. So you're talking about, again, to like what Shar was saying about in regards of ritual. If they were really into their Bible, and they go to church every Sunday, they don't think going to the altar and the way that altar is set up is part of a ritual. But see, they not ready how altars was set up. This is even before Christianity. But see, they not ready for these conversations right now. So it's just like, where are you getting this from? To be quite honest, I think that young lady was a plant. She wanted to go viral. I just don't think in 2024, and times is different, these young ladies and gentlemen are paying upwards of $3,000 and $4,000 to become members.
So speaking of the clip, this is a
Yeah.
possible solution. Before I bring everybody else up, because I want to run this clip because it's important. A possible solution. Tell me how you feel on the other end.
Hold on, Frank. Hey, hold on for a second.
Go ahead. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was gonna say, yeah, I was just gonna say, you know how it go, man. If you wanna take something down, you start from within. So to go back to your part about, you know, people the higher people doing this and people doing that. If you want to take something down, you start from within. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of this is finding weak links and giving them a platform to take our organizations down because it's somebody that look like us, somebody that's been a part of what we talking about, somebody that can tell them secrets. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you take our people down. You know what I'm saying?
I,
You put a mole in a group and let the mole destroy the group.
And this is why. But she said, and what Heather said, this is where my concern is. And I know people say, "Oh, Khalif, you're an alarmist." Listen to what these two said, where everybody said, this is a threat to all Divine Nine organizations. The beginning of a narrative that grows, hits one organization, like Heather said, it hits us all. Then it hits another, then it hits another. And like Frid says, there's moles that have been placed to give away hard-earned secrets.
Well, Frank, let me say real quick. I honestly think I think that there are modes because there's infiltrates in any organization that we have, not just Divine. Now we can go back to the Black Panther Party
Mm-hmm.
where there was infiltrates to take down, that group. So I mean that happens when you get Black people together and they're doing something positive for the community. You're always gonna have people that infiltrate those organizations. But I have to say that I'm gonna put this back on our organizations. We don't gatekeep.
Facts.
There's no discretion.
Let me just
And
also add.
unfortunately, we have now become more big business minded and money minded instead of people minded. We are about quantity and not quality anymore.
Mine's a
We
60 and
take
70.
so when we take away the elitism, when we take away the legacy, when we take away the classiness, when we take away those things, and now it's just like, come on, you got the money, 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 come on. Then this is bound to happen because you don't know who you bringing in because there's no discretion, there's very little investigation, there's very like it's it starts at the top. I always tell my children nothing falls up. So if the top is messed up and it's things going on that's wrong at the top, it's going to eventually trickle down and affect the rest of the organization. So I think that our organization, the focus of our Divine Nine organizations is totally off now. It's more money and business oriented. So then you have more things like this because if they're not learning what these things mean and they're not learning the legacies behind our organizations, you don't have stuff like this.
Let me just also add this
Doing the
too. I
intake on
also think, you know what it is? Let's take this back. This goes back to when MIP first started. It started when people were reactive and not being proactive. Because when MIP first came, what, in 91, it was literally, people had it was a legal process, people got out of hand, it was above ground. That next semester, it was cold turkey, they stopped. There was no rollout, there was no implementation, there was no anything else. So, and that's when everything started going to underground. And then on top of that, as time went on and people were getting hurt and there was hazing incidents and everything on, now we have these insurance companies. And if anybody, and if you don't know, there's only one insurance company that insures all the fraternities and the sororities.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, real
There's
quick.
only one, and therefore, and they will continuously remind you for undergrads, we're only guests on their campuses. And people become soon is, for instance, like the clip earlier, there was the young lady that was saying that she was part of an organization. She was part of an organization. She was Miss Lincoln at Missouri. There was hazing allegations when the investigation came up. You know, they went through the process. Nothing was found and they were left out high to dry. That's being reactive instead of proactive. She disassociated. And if I went on her YouTube, because I saw it on TikTok, I went directly to her YouTube to listen to the whole entire story because I was trying to figure out what organization she was from, because she said she distanced herself because she did not feel protected whatsoever. And unfortunately, I see the reason why that she distanced herself from it, because she did not feel protected. Everything is like, oh, we have your back. And then when something of this magnitude came up, it was crickets. Unfortunately, when you have these allegations that are coming to these people, they don't know how to investigate properly because they've never done anything like that professionally. Everybody is scared, they're just reactive. So this is, unfortunately, with something like this is a knee-jerk reaction to everything.
But real quick,
Go
before
ahead.
anybody chimes in, because it's a great point, let me get some comments. Courtney from the Woo says, how about the whole state of Greek life is questionable at best, particularly because of younger members. She also said, I see so many videos of neos, current undergrads, and probates displaying disrespectful, inappropriate behaviors that would not have happened in days past. And big shout out to everybody in the comments. Before I let anybody else chime in, because this is a solutions-based show. Anytime I do a show, it's about solutions. You know, thank you, Courtney, for the show regarding divorce. Thank you, Char, for the show regarding people open up their minds when it comes to particular issues and intimacy. But let me run this clip real quick.
Attorney in real life. I don't play one on television. And I am also a 36-year member of a D9 sorority. Because these are my personal opinions that I'm going to talk to you about, and some of you are going to find them a little controversial, I'm not going to name my sorority, but if you know, you know. Let's talk about the people who are denouncing and what we can do to protect our organizations. So people who want to denounce, they should absolutely be allowed to do so. If your religious or spiritual beliefs are inconsistent with anything about our organizations, you should be able to leave. I want to talk to you about how they leave and what we can do legally to protect our organization. I think every new initiate and every current member of the D9 organization should be required to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. An NDA is a legally binding contract that requires you to keep certain information confidential. So in order to be a member, a new member of our organizations, you would have to sign this NDA. In order to continue to be a member in good standing, I think you should be required to sign this NDA also. And let's talk about what the NDA should say so that they will protect the organizations. And you should be able to leave and leave us in peace. So these are the things I think should be in the NDA. Number one, if you decide to denounce, any correspondence between you and your national office should remain confidential. You cannot go and publish your letter or anything they send to you on the internet. Number two, you cannot reveal any confidential information about the initiation process or the rituals that you gained because you went through the process to anyone.
Facts.
Number three, you cannot disparage the organization.
Facts.
So a non-disparagement clause means the organization is not going to say anything bad about you, and you're not going to say anything bad about us. Number four, if the organization believes there has been a violation of the NDA, they can enforce it through private confidential arbitration. arbitration because you don't want this in the court system, because if it's in the court system, it's going to be public. So therefore, the organizations would have an arbitration clause. It's how they will enforce their NDAs. Number 5, if the organization has to enforce the NDA and they are successful, then you, the person who is denouncing, who's leaving, will have to pay the organization's legal fees. Number 6, if you violate the NDA, there should be a liquidated damages clause in the NDA. That would be a set amount of damages, money damages, that you would have to pay to the organization if you violate the NDA. And I would suggest it be something substantial, like $10,000 or $20,000, because money will motivate people to adhere to the confidentiality agreement that they have signed. I think all D9 organizations should adopt this, because no 30-day member of any of our organizations should be allowed to be out there just spreading information willy-nilly. So this is my suggestion. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think it would be enforceable? Do you think it would make people who may be having doubts, even before they start the process, think twice about what they're doing?
Facts. I do, and her name is I Am a Lawyer in Real Life on TikTok. I repeat, her name and her page is I'm a Lawyer in Real Life, spelled just that way. I'm a Lawyer in Real Life. Anybody want to respond? I think it should start with Shar and Cordell, since they haven't spoken really fully yet.
I just want to say, Rachel, you took the words out of my mouth when you gave your speech, because I'm just a spiritual person. I don't know the Bible. I don't go by the Bible. I never have. I grew up in the church, but that just wasn't my thing. But being a spiritual person and just knowing what I know from Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and what I came through under the learnings, and knowing what we did for our process, was enough to say, this is for me. This is what I want to do. Me at Wilberforce University, seeing the beautiful women that was there representing my organization at that time, showed me what that organization was about, and showed me that that is something that I can also bring to my organization as well. But to take yourself away just because of something that you so-called learned in your church, or from somebody that told you this, and the other, it's so bizarre to me. It blows my mind that you would go through whatever you went through, did whatever research you called yourself doing.
They didn't go through nothing.
Exactly. And basically saying, okay, now I'm denouncing, after you done took your time out. And that's one of my pet peeves. Don't waste my time. You done took your time out and really went about this, and then just say, nope, this ain't for me. That blows my mind. Rituals are an everyday occurrence that we do. Self-care, a bath, a shower, walking your dog. Like, it's an actual ritual. We all do something of some sort. We all praise something of some kind. We are spoken to by our ancestors on an everyday basis. And we just don't want to just take the time out to really understand what each and every organization, be it D9 or their other, and see what it is actually all about. And each one stands out very particular for its own meanings, their own findings, their own backgrounds. The people took it on their backs every day. And my founders, Lord, thank you for them, coming on Butler University, predominantly nothing but white folks on that campus, and they carried everything on their back for me. And for me to just come behind it and just paint it like that, it just blows my mind. I do know people personally that have denounced letters. And it just, for me, it's like, okay, that's your liking. That's whatever, you see for yourself to do, because of somebody's telling you. I don't like to go by what somebody or anybody's just telling me. I do go by my heart. That's why I'm a spiritual person. I go by what the ancestors have told me and all of those good things, and go and move in my spirit. So when you tell me that God gave you this message, okay, I'm gonna go with that, because we get messages from however you get them. But I don't think he's telling you to step away from something you took your time out for, something you saved up your money for, which money comes and goes. But when you take your time out, your research, your everything else, and then you just claim it that you've been told to just leave it all alone. Your sisters that you done came through with, your brothers you came through with, you took that umph and just blew it all away. Yeah, nah, I don't believe that. I'm sorry. That's just my own personal opinion on that. It blows my mind.
Before I bring Cordell on, I want to tell everybody watching this, I made multiple attempts. I had friends who had people who denounced. I have fraternity brothers that knew people that denounced, and they all did not want to talk. I repeat, I made my best effort. How did this video come about? I was on the phone with my homeboy Damien, who's in IOTA. He says, Frank, you need to talk about this. I didn't want to talk about this topic because I'm not into rhetoric and hype viral trains. But when I see a threat to these 9 important organizations and the people who are making all these denunciations, and that's not even a word, I'm just freestyling here, all the denouncing here, renouncing here, saying all this. But when we send you inboxes, when there's multiple people hitting you up, you had all that voice for the clout on the internet. But when it comes to representing your stance, you're not going to come in the forum of experts who have over a decade experience in Divine Nine organizations, of experts who know and uphold the organization for what it is, truly is, experts who would dispel any deception. All of you ran. I saw the messages, got the screenshots, left on red, left on seen. I don't feel comfortable with doing that. Well, if you didn't feel comfortable we're coming on a forum to speak today, and pardon me, I'm getting tight. New York energy, pardon me. If you had all that energy to disrespect our organizations, then you need to have, for lack of a better phrasing, the balls to represent your stance. Because I know if I ask anybody in this panel to rep their organization, the professionalism that'll come from them, the stories specifically that'll come from them, that are not clout-based, that are not vanity metric-based, that are not, hey, look at me and my letters base. They stand on it. But if you don't respond to messages and you run tail after you got your little miniature clout to sell your Christian book, and mind you, you guys don't know me on the internet. Everybody in this panel know who Frank was freshman, sophomore, and junior year. If anybody was super sold out for Christ and wild over spiritual, it was me on Wilberforce University. Am I lying, panel?
And you're not.
Am I lying?
And you're
Am
not.
I lying?
No.
So I can speak on that because I was there in that mindset, listening to a bunch of preachers with great doctrinal manipulations to try to sway their narratives. Weaponized narratives are dangerous, and especially when it comes to these organizations, and I'm not having it. But again, I digress. I want to get back to the panel and get back to Cordell speaking. If you have all that energy to denounce and do your little videos, then you should come on forums with experts who, A, will not attack you. The people I sent to get you to come on this, everybody knows Frank. I'm not here for clout because I know anything I say online, I'm going to have to rep that in real life 10 toes down. That's a fact. We're here to have dialogue for a consensus, not clout. What it appears to me, a lot of people that denounce did it for clout to drive up their followers, but you ain't getting paid from posting online. Preach. I'm sorry. Everybody go. Sorry. I'm tight about this. I'm super defensive about our organizations. And I know, and getting to what Rachel said earlier, I know COINTEL style destroy from within stratagem, and now it's being utilized within social media. Because here's the thing. Think about the civil rights era. It started with small court cases, small indiscretions. Pay attention to the metrics. This is not just a viral moment. This is a slow, systematic process of where they will try to destroy our organizations. Call me your alarmist all you want.
They put things in law to try to just do away with it down south first, and all it does is go from south and right on up to the north, and just try to just do away with all of our D9 organizations.
And that's a concern.
So unfortunately, it's like we got it coming from all directions.
Steele and Cordell, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, real quick. Now, I noticed when I watched, because I've seen tons and tons of these videos, and I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but all these videos sound the same. They use the same language.
Talking points, facts.
They use the same talking. It just sounds like something that is brought about to actually get rid of the organizations. And the best way, like black people, I mean, how did they get rid of the Black Panther Party? How did they get rid of the movements back when Martin Luther King, Malcolm X? How did they, from the inside? And they were black people. And then they use words like there's a difference between recognizing something and worshiping it. Now we recognize the ancestors, we recognize the pyramids, we recognize those things. We never worship them. We recognize God created people that were able to create these things, and we never worship. But and there's another word they like to use a lot: demonic, because they know that black people are scared of the word demonic, and we're scared of witchcraft. No matter where you're from, you can be from down south, you can be from Jamaica, where I'm from. Witchcraft, demonic, we don't like hearing those words, so they use those words a lot to add that little bit of fear and a little bit of spirituality in it. And another thing, those are the other views. I wrote them down because those are the things I was noticing. Like all these videos are the same speaking points. All these videos, because it's like they got a script and they just hand it out to, hey, you denounce, and it's like they trying to just form something to actually destroy something beautiful that we created.
Well, I think it's because we let too many. When you start letting other people come in to our organizations, like again, I think it goes back to gatekeeping. We don't gatekeep our organizations. Anybody can come in. I mean, when you let all races come on into the D9 organization, it's just like, come on in, everybody. Like, and it's like, no, we have to preserve our organizations. And I think it's leadership started doing a better job with actually trying to preserve our organizations and gatekeeping it and doing a better job in the vetting process. I think that could possibly curb some of this. You're not going to get everybody, but I think that if we make it a little bit more difficult, in a sense, I'm probably using the wrong word. But
no, you're saying everything correctly because hip hop is going through that right now.
If we make it a little bit more
exclusive,
intricate and exclusive to get in, then I think possibly we can curb some of this, because you can't now. People can get in and go ziggity boot, like I get it, but I think that the state of our organizations now, excuse my language, it's a complete clusterfuck. It's everything goes. Like, we got, even past the denouncing your organization, you got strolls sticking your middle finger up. You got girls with their breasts out and their butt out. You got people scrolling on top of restaurants. You got girls dressed like men talking about, I'm a real woman of this organization. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it is completely just open to any and all foolery. It is not what it used to be at all. This is why we don't see prominence really coming out of these organizations anymore, because we're not getting those type of people in our organization. We just letting it, just anybody is just coming in, and there has to be some form of morals and standards and ethics. It can't just be pledges that we say. We really gotta enforce that if we want to see change. And I mean, all of it needs to be reformed.
Agreed. Cordell, you didn't get a chance to speak.
Oh,
sorry, Cordell didn't get a chance to speak. Sorry.
Yeah. So, best quote I heard: if you denounce, and the reason that you gotta be, feel like you right with God, just denounce, you was never right with God in the first place. Let's get that part out the way. Secondly, is the biggest thing I always, and I can tell you my backstory when I came from Wilberforce. My whole day was just play basketball. I was not even thinking about. I ain't know much about Greek life, and I ain't think twice about it. But everybody, we all have our reason when we decide to join the organization. It fit us, but it was more of what we bring to that organization more than anything. And to anybody, and it was a fit that joined the, like we contribute to our organization. And I think the biggest thing is, again, not just a standard for it. There's not, I don't know if it's not the people that's coming in thinking what's the whole, and they're just seeing the superficial stuff from the organization, and they not understanding the work. Because we always was taught, like, once you in the organization, that's when the real work begins.
Facts.
Because big thing about about Divine Nine is you can tell anybody out, we're community based. We're the leaders of Black community here. We're like the what I'm looking for. We're like the front line of the community. That's what it's based and built upon on. And especially in the times now, that's is more than ever what's going on politically and stuff here now. It's going on in the community here. We're needed more than ever. And this is contribute to everybody else. It seems like a tear down. But the biggest thing is just listening to it. It's I I agree. There's a standard that's not being met, or that's just going over people's head, and then people just again the biggest thing I think is big is insecurity because this is I always just feel like it's just been more and more. I've seen stuff laughable about it. It's just saying, hey, the moment they denounce, it's always a tear down, but a lot of them not right with themselves in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You become more. I always big on you become more of who you are or who you dealing with as you get older or you go into something. Like when I got the organization, I became more who I became. Nothing changed about me. It just heightened me. But to other people, it's heightened who they were because they was never built to be in that organization.
That's the bar. That's an
Yeah.
additional bar.
Bars.
So if you seeing people like, hey, I'm all partying like that was never for you. And the big thing, we all when we came through it, I could speak for myself. I checked on people on that, and we're seeing more. And I'm thinking that's the exclusivity. That's a big thing. We seen that. That's a problem. But it's getting more and more. It's getting disturbing to me because again, I could just be snapping out, decide not to. I think it's got to be going back to what the standard is, equality. Just re-educate what we do for what we do for an organization, but as a whole, as a Divine Nine, right?
Before anybody else chimes in, before Tori and I know Jackie and Heather want to chime in, to everybody that's watching, maybe you want to be an initiate, maybe you want to get more information, right? Everybody's seen the old school version of this book by Lawrence C. Ross. There are many books. I know Steele can chime in because I'm really jealous of Steele's library. He should start a book club. Steele is a beast with books. I have a book addiction. But the Divine Nine, the history of African American fraternities and sororities, it's on the 12th edition, I believe. Go to Amazon, read up. If you want to tout scriptures such as "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," then why are you capping with your narratives and trying to shoot Christian bars at people? Like, listen, if y'all knew who I was in 2000 and 2003, you would understand why I'm super tight at these over spiritual folks.
Come on, Pastor Frank.
No, because they don't know. Like, listen, I met Christ for real in the hood in a trap house. This ain't testimony time. I had a different experience. I didn't have I listened to a church and a person who spoke very well and they gave me their false doctrine. It was different. But even me, I had to realize that these organizations were created by our ancestors to do community work and impact the community. I don't care what state you from, what city you from, wherever you from. These organizations are vital to every city and state. But Jackie, Tori, and Heather.
Yeah, real talk. So I think for me, and being like very clear and being like concise about how I'm viewing this, a lot of it is less about our organizations. I can see how, I'm not really here to like argue moral and ethics. I think those are like some separate conversations, but I'm here to change the lens a little bit. For me, it's less about the organization, I feel like there's things that we could do better as far as we don't recruit, but the vetting process. But for me, it's more of an indication of like the spiritual connotation of Christianity, especially Black Christianity, that's happening in a lot of Black spaces, right? Because this is not the first time that I've seen this talk of denouncing, but this is also not the first time I've seen talk of demonic things when it comes to things associated with Black people that are not like standalone Christian based. I've seen this conversation when we talk about like African religions, right? We talk about Yoruba and Santeria, and I've seen these conversations end up coming up a lot, especially when it draws from what we consider the pinnacle of the Black experience, which has a lot to do with how we navigate the church and how we navigate Christianity as a whole. So my thing always when it comes to like,
that was a bar. That was a bar. I had to interrupt. Sorry, go ahead. That
no,
was a
it's
bar.
cool, it's cool. But for me, when it comes to denouncing feels inherently violent. It feels inherently violent because what to me is like, and I feel like one of my brothers was saying it earlier, right? It feels like there's a very specific detachment and removal of someone for the sake of manipulation and control, and that never sits right with me. Never sits right with me, because it ends up being, I'm going to leave all of this behind to join this super spiritual entity. And the only other time I've seen people talk like this is when they're directly joining a cult. And it's like, people have been calling D9 cults all year. And it's like, babe, the call is coming from inside the house. And I want to be like very clear about it. Like, for me, this is a deeper connotation around what spiritual like practices mean within Black people, and how much like we like necessarily like pull from all these other instances to build our collective experience. And not only as like Black people, and like, don't get me wrong, like I used to be a Christian. Like, I'm not a Christian anymore, and I'm also like Black and queer, and this Christianity in itself doesn't necessarily always align with how I navigate this world, and that's okay. And I'm never against people doing what they need to when they feel like they need to align with something greater than themselves. I'm never going to take that away from them. But what I will say is that denouncing and then saying that you're leaving this part of your life behind, that always feels inherently violent, and it feels manipulative, and it feels like you're part of a larger entity that is trying to remove you from collective consciousness because they want to have greater control over you. And that is where I'm like, I don't want no parts. If you're going to denounce, if you're going to go, baby, you can go, and that's fine. No one, I think that's the part when people, and we could talk about why this is happening, because we all know outrage is social currency, right? We all understand that, right? We understand why people post the letters, make the videos, like, we get it. TikTok pays money, Instagram pays money, I get it. You're not stupid, you're just poor, I get it, okay? But at the same time, okay?
Sorry, bars. Like,
I love you, Jackie. I love you.
But I'm just saying, like, just the idea of denouncing, and I want to be, and I'm going to be as like PG as I can. A lot of the denouncement sort of videos are coming from women. They're coming from women. And I want to be very clear about like some of the connotations of that, right? And how women feel like they have to sacrifice to align with the best side of their good, and how that's an inherent issue, especially within Black spaces, especially within Black women, right? Like, Black women always feel like they have to sacrifice their entire being for the sake of the greater good and the greatness of the collective. So that's a whole nother conversation, right, that I see. But like, there is something so inherently violent about denouncing or having a spiritual entity like collectively remove you because of this greater calling. Because God doesn't, like, for me in my own spiritual practice, like, being isolated for the sake of like prayer, worship, okay, but isolation for the sake of your God, that feels so violent. That feels so violent. And that's why I'm like, there needs to be a larger stock around where your spiritual practice is held within your collective psyche, because something's not clicking. Like, the call's coming from in the house. Like, it's coming from in the house. Like, and I can't shake that. And I think that's what saddens me about a lot of these, like, these announcements about denouncing letters and all that, is that there is an inherent disconnection from like your spiritual like guidance, because you feel that the only connection that you can gain with whatever God you are trying to pray to, connect to, is through collective removal and manipulation from these pockets of things that were happening. That's one. And before, and I'm almost done, I promise. But folks that are calling D9 what's the word? Demonic. Like everyone's calling everything demonic, but like devilish things actually. Like if I'm going on your page and you have so much to say about D9, but I haven't seen you talk about police brutality. I haven't seen you talk about the Congo. I haven't seen you talk about Palestine. I haven't seen you talk about the Sudan. You're out of order, babe. If you're to have so much to say about D9, but there is no collective practice around what's happening in your community, you're not actually doing what you need to and partnering with other community organizations, because it's always all this talk. But where's the action? You say that D9 is this demonic thing. What are you doing to uplift your community? Like we talk about freedom. We talk about actual like spiritual, actual elevation. What are you doing to make sure that your people are free, babe?
And to go by your point, those same people talking about that being the cult leader, what you doing in your home in the community that's being so demonic there? You talking about these non-demonic. We could go there too.
Child. Look here, we could be here all day. I'm gonna go back on mute. Okay.
No, thanks for your input before, because I know somebody else is gonna chime in. Damien, is your Wi-Fi legit? That's all I'm asking.
God, it's up now. It's up now.
So listen, I'm not trying to put you on blast. I'm not trying to put you on blast. You are the reason that you inspired me to bring this together. So, and you're also an active chaplain. So my question to you is that being an iota man, being a chaplain, and seeing the narrative and doctrinal weaponizing of rhetoric to destroy and separate communities, how do you feel from the stance of you being a chaplain in that spiritual aspect of what you're hearing and seeing?
Okay, a couple of things. Number one, let me see. I'm gonna run it like this on purpose. Bachelor's degree, communication, philosophy of religion. Master's in divinity, doctorate in ministry, soon to be a published scholar with a very well-known thing, and a proud member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. The people that I believe are doing these denouncements is actually it's really confusing in my opinion, because I feel like people had already made the organization their God, and they just refuse, and they're just now coming to grips that they made something an idol that wasn't supposed to be an idol. Maybe they're accustomed to this type of behavior because it's something that they're used to doing. Maybe they've made their car, maybe they've made TikTok, maybe they've made their boyfriend or their girlfriend or whoever it is. They've made these materialistic things their God, and it is the very same thing that's actually damaging really to themselves. I actually really feel sorry for them, at least the ones where they are weaponizing this this Christian dogma BS, because they're really kind of like getting to the point where now it's just like, you do realize this is the same thing that the colonizers did to the people that were in various other places in Africa. So now you're trying to use the same type of weaponization to colonize Black organizations to the degree where you feel as if you're actually going to get you have to get something good out of this. Like you have people, long-standing members, pastors, and I'm not talking about like the pastors that are, you know, like your side pastors where they got a storefront church. I'm talking about very well-known people that are actually very prominent, at least in their organization, and they're still about service. And I can't remember who was actually bringing it up, but I thought that was actually a very powerful statement. The mere fact that some people are actually talking about, you know, denouncing these ancestors and things of that nature, saying that it's demonic and different stuff like that. And we're just like, well, be careful, because we can very well pick apart your Bible, and it can get really ugly.
And look, and he's a chaplain, ladies and gentlemen, and he
I'm,
flexed
and
his education
I'm,
to show you that he knows what he's talking about. I'm just saying. And he's in these
we,
Chicago streets, probably in a wild block right now in a car in Chicago. And I know you strapped. God bless
Didn't
you.
I say there's a difference of being called to preach, but even though that you're called, that you need to be taught?
you need to
Didn't
be
I
taught.
say that?
You
Didn't
need to be taught. You need to be
thank
taught. It's
you.
it's I mean it's inherent. I mean you have to be you have to be an educated clergy. I mean, I don't know.
No, but that
it's
goes to Rachel's point. I
yeah,
believe the black church, right? And you and I have discussed this,
yeah.
needs to gatekeep as well, because like Rachel pointed out and like Jackie pointed out, there's a whole bunch of people that's getting let in, and they're just infiltrating the nest. And when they're let in, especially in the black church clergy, which is one of the most powerful bodies, but also a powerful propaganda tool to our communities. This is not a shot at God. This is a shot at things that are run roughshod in black churches to manipulate and hurt people. This is not a shot at the black church, but you need to gatekeep just as well as Divine Nine organizations need to gatekeep, because what propaganda arm are you letting in? But real quick, I know everybody ain't got all the time in the world. What we on a Thursday night and stuff like that. I want to close this out by having everybody individually, one by one. And number one, thank you for being here. And for everybody that's watching, please put your questions in the comments, because I'm going to do a follow-up video based on the questions. There's a lot of comments that's hitting. I'll share them in a minute. But for everybody, one by one, I want you to just say your final statements, but also to add solutions for those initiates that may need clarity against this propaganda on the internet trying to bash our organizations. And just start off with Shar.
Once again, Shar, I am a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. My solution, I am an intimacy coach, and if you are having just intimacy issues that you need to speak on and get some of your trauma spoke on and get some guidance, feel free to reach out to me. I can assist you with some of those past issues that you may want to deep down dive to and get to, and we can discuss them. Reach out. That is a solution.
And then you can also check out the video that I did with her on speaking with the sexologist on my YouTube channel. Okay, thank you, Shar. I'm not going to hold you. That was a slick plug. You know what I'm saying? That was a slick plug. Rachel, next.
I would say that just basically what I said before is before you take the beam out of D9's eye, take the beam out your own eye. Go self-assess and go check yourself and check your spirit and ask what it is that you worship. Because I don't think anybody in here worships their organization. I know I don't.
Nah, none of us don't.
I don't think none of us worships our organization. I think that regardless to when you came in, how you came in, where you came in, we all contribute to our organization in some form of fashion. Regardless if you're financial or not, if you active, you have contributed to your organization, which in turn you have contributed to your community. And to me, for those that are denouncing publicly, if your ritual was done in private, leave in private. Leave quietly. No one asked you why, where, how, what. Be quiet. Just leave. Just go. I'm sorry that you left. We hate to see you go. But send your letter, do what you got to do, and leave. There's no reason to come on social media and create this big old debacle, create these videos, do these podcasts, explaining why you left, what happened. Go deal with that on your own. Go to therapy,
Go to
go make
Shar.
your ritual prayer. Go do whatever you got to do. Go get your ritualistic Bible. Go to your ritualistic church. Get on your ritualistic altar with your ritualistic pastor and deal with your issues. But don't come and try to tear down organizations that was started by young black educated men and women for the good of our community because we weren't able to get into white organizations. So don't come and shit on the legacies that our ancestors came and made these organizations, created these organizations for sisterhood and brotherhood for collegiate men and women of high ethical standards, high academic standards. Don't come and shit on us because you have self-esteem issues or because you're not comfortable within yourself. So leave quietly. Don't be loud and wrong. That's what I would tell my children. Don't be loud and wrong. So to those of us, we got to stay the course. We have to continue to represent our organizations as best as possible. Be there as a mentor for those coming behind us. Be the examples that were made for us because they're going to need us. The generations coming behind us are going to need us. We all come from different walks of life. We all come from different religious backgrounds, but that's what makes us beautiful. And that's what makes our organizations beautiful. Because those who ain't in it wasn't supposed to be in it to begin with.
You about to win bars of the night right now. You about to win bars of the night.
Jackie won that one. Jackie won that one.
Nah, it's a tie, yo. But you know what it is? Before I let anybody else chime in, real quick.
Look, me and my Delta sister hold it down. We do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Y'all both won with bars of the night. I'm not gonna hold you.
Party.
Before I get the Steele to have his closing statements, I want
100%.
exactly. I want to tell everybody watching this. This is what a panel of seasoned experts in something sounds, communicates, and conveys like. That's it. Respectfully.
I love my sisters and my brothers on this screen right here. I love them all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, respectfully.
All right, Steele.
Yeah, I just want to say that the whole denouncing and using Christianity to denounce just sounds so Eurocentric to me. It sounds so use Christianity to rip something apart, to use it to, like use it as a guide to. It's how slavery was found. Was started. It's how slavery was started. So it's just like the whole idea of just trying to use Christian, and what brother said is these people felt like they were to be in these organizations to worship the organizations and not be in these organizations to be a part of it. Because I don't understand how the organizations go with religion. Because I don't remember being, I don't remember being an alpha. What's your religion? Alpha. I don't remember. I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
You made me choke on my water still.
It's just that when people have low self-esteem and trying to find something, because we're all just like during the pandemic, everybody was trying to find something. You know how many black cults started during the pandemic? Carbonation. A lot of black cults started during the pandemic because people are trying to find something. So they like, I'm supposed to worship this. Like I found some shoes the other day that was very nice. That was on sale at Saks for 70% off with an extra 25%, and I ain't worshiping them shoes. so it's like people just find the idea of worship behind the idea of joining something and being a part of something. Now, how we you said the last question you said, how do we fix this?
Well, solutions and any encouragement to any initiates that are seeing this.
I don't see a solution per se that's quick. But there's different security measures that they can take, like Rachel said, like watch who you let in, and get an idea of the people that are coming in. It's kind of hard now to do that because everything is different. Like there's no gatekeeping anymore. There's it's just so different now. It's just anybody got money can get in. So that's all I got to say.
No, thanks for sharing. Jackie.
So I'm gonna wrap this up in like a couple different like spaces. I think there's always going to be people who devote time and energy to things to places, to organizations, and uplift them in a way that's going to take away from who they are as a person. That's going to happen. You see it when in like in stands, right? And like, you know what I'm saying? Like you see that in music when people are like revering their favorite artists, and like when there is an inherent sort of disconnect from who you need to be and who you are, you will always revere something because you have a void in yourself. That's one. Two, there's a lot of conversations happening around like BGLOs, but I never see Black people denouncing white Greek-led organizations. That's another conversation for another day.
Because they don't last that long. They only last during undergrad.
And be pretty wild. Look here. I'm just saying. That's conversation for another day. But I think once we start to peel away the layers of our collective spiritual practices, once we start decolonizing how we work through our spiritual life within, especially within Christianity, I'm being very specific because all the denouncements I've seen have come from Black Christians. Once we start decolonizing the way that we think about spirituality as a whole and have some sort of understanding of where that sits within our collective, not only life, but our collective as like the Black experience, I think there's going to be a lot less of this, right? But I always feel like people are going to ride things until the wheels come off. Like I said, outrage is social currency. So I'm not, and I think this is what I want the takeaway for us to be. We're not engaging in these videos anymore. We're not leaving comments. We're not resharing the videos of people denouncing. We're going to ignore you. We're going to let you go down with the views, okay? We're going to let you disappear into digital obscurity. That's what we need to do as a collective because there's too much work to be done. Okay? There's too much community work to be done. We have communities around this country that are struggling with multiple things, whether it's police brutality, whether it's food deserts, collectively, Black people have so much more to worry about than this. So I say to my fellow D9, when that TikTok comes up, go to those three dots in the corner and hit not interested. Because we are able to shift this conversation because we can actively disengage from it, because this is one of those conversations where I feel like we don't have time to try to piece out time and energy to this thing. Like I know we talk about like us being distracted with other things, and a lot of times I feel like we can multitask and we can focus on different things at different times, right? I feel like this one right here is a distraction. This one is taken away from, if you want to be a Christian, be a Christian. Worry about your walk. Worry about your connection with God. Worry about your connection to whoever you pray to. I'm not a Christian. I don't have in heaven or hell to put you in, babe. The only one I feel like that exists right now is the one that you create in your mind. And if you allow your idea around what these organizations should be shape how you move in a spiritual sense, baby, it's deeper than just you signing some papers or sending in a letter to nationals. Therapy is always an option. Always an option.
Sure.
Okay, boom. Okay,
you can call me.
Period.
Call me.
Period.
I help out.
So look here. So like decolonizing the way we think about religion, decolonizing the way that, and plus D9 organizations, there are plenty. I'm not saying we're above critique. We're not. Just like any other organization, we're not above critique. But if you are actively trying to remove yourself from these organizations because you feel like it plays too much of a spiritual role in your life, why are you allowing this thing to play a spiritual role in your life? Ask yourself that question. How did this thing get on that pedestal? Because I didn't put it on there for you.
Come on.
So ask that question. Go deeper. Like, and that's to anyone who's watching this, who are contemplating joining a D9 on the ropes, you can see a few denouncement videos and now you're unsure, baby, go deeper. Because your connection to whatever is greater than you should never be trumped by an organization you join. And if it is, the problem is not the organization, baby, it's you.
Period. Period. Say it again. One more time.
So look here. I'm gonna leave it there. Like,
say it for the people in the back.
look
For the
here.
people in
I'm
the
gonna
back.
leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. Like, a lot of people are being guided, but not by what they need to be guided by.
Yeah,
And
Jackie.
like,
Jackie
and we
got bars of the
see
night.
you.
Sorry.
And look here, and it's like, look, we see it, and we understand that we gonna love you regardless. But baby, leave that over there. Worry about your walk. Worry about your connection to God, because mine is good. I'm good.
The
Worry
Most
about
High got
you.
me.
Okay. Period. Okay. But I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. I'm done.
Nah, thank you for sharing. Thank you everybody for sharing. Heather, Tori, Cordell, and Damien. Heather.
So I'm going to flip it, and this is going to be actually directed to the D9. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. We have all said that things has changed, and I understand everything works from the top down, but sometimes you have to align yourself with people, like-minded people in your individual chapters, and get into positions and get into whether it is membership, so you can strengthen your observation period or whatever you have to do. And I always I have a saying that all my sorors know. I say no before I say yes. I'm not pressed to make new members. No is a complete sentence. And you don't have to take anybody and everybody. That's where you have to start gatekeeping. And others will follow. Trust me. Trust me. I got stories I can share about that.
You've been
I
holding
got
back wild
stories.
tea, but thank you for holding back the massive
I got
amount of
stories.
Lipton you got in your back pocket. Thank you for
Listen,
holding
listen.
back the Lipton.
You said you got this on 20 platforms. I'm trying to keep it cute. I'm trying to keep it cute around here, okay? Two, before you start joining these organizations, it's a lot of money. Being part of fraternity and a sorority is a luxury. It is not a necessity and it's not a need in your life. It's an investment.
Also, if you have like $4,000 to burn, you can always just cash app it to me. If
Yeah,
that's
Okay.
if we just
And
throwing around
somebody
money,
said this. Listen, if somebody said this in the
I'll put the
comments, and
cash app in the
I'm
chat.
gonna run it back.
Okay.
Whoever wants to denounce Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, I'm a 2X. I'm a 2X. Matter of fact, I'll meet you halfway. I'll take your letter to 1734 and just hand over your box. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I just want to know where these babies getting this money from to just be able to denounce in 30 days. That's real cute.
From the TikTok.
Sally Knight
From the TikTok.
That trust is giving trust fund energy.
My son
Right.
got 1 million followers and he gets a grip of money every month. So they get it from their TikTok and their social media following.
Listen,
for sure.
Well, they just
I got
Sally
in.
Knight for my bill right now.
Well, let me tell you
Okay.
something. Speaking of denouncement, hold up. Ed Financial, I just denounced because I got that nice little letter from Biden and VP said, listen, you ain't got to pay these back. And I said, glory.
I denounce these
glory.
taxes that come out my check every
Well,
week.
facts
Okay?
with the taxes. Facts with the
Denounce
taxes.
these taxes, okay?
But
Because
to go
Jesus
back
paid
with
it all. Jesus paid it all.
Hold up, but let me wrap this up really, 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 really quick. Everybody wants to belong to something. And just know everything ain't for everybody. Look inside yourself. Y'all ain't playing about these taxes. Don't even mention taxes. I throw hands.
Especially for us business owners and independent contractors. I hate taxes.
Listen, I'm about to go to a mature gentleman's club and get me some night shifts.
You about to start a Only Heather?
Stop playing. I got theme music. Prince, International Lover. Don't play with me. I got this stuff.
On that note, Tori, go ahead. She's hilarious, show. Thank you for holding back that Lipton, Heather, because I know you got tea.
Yeah, Heather, what you twerking with? How about that? But But no, for sure. I mean, I just want to say, first of all, it's been a pleasure hanging out with everybody tonight. Everybody's been very, very insightful, intellect, enjoyed the conversation. My man, I forget his name, but the one that's the Iota preacher. Thank you for answering the thought that I had for majority of the night about those that's been denouncing, and Jack, you've been on point with everything that you mentioned too as well. So I just kind of, a lot of things when I hear about this denouncing stuff, I just kind of, a big part of what I do, I just kind of try to peel back on exactly where they're coming from. You know what I mean? It's just kind of what their demographic is, what the age is. And I think what is consistent is that many of these denouncements are coming from current undergrad and younger folks. And I just don't think that they just kind of, how can I put it? Just had the opportunity to kind of go through and had a chance to learn many of these things. I mean, we all kind of spoke around a little bit about some of the changes in our fraternities and sororities, and and part of that, the universities at that our organizations are at made some those changes for us in a lot of different ways too, because a lot of these in administration were non-Greek, and they kind of bought into the whole idea of what these things are, hazing and different things of that nature. But as far as the solution, I mean, I don't know if it's old school or not, but I kind of always go back every time I get to a place where, when I say confusion, and just trying to find a place of understanding. My mother, she's a librarian and an educator, graduate from Central State, and every time when we grew up, and she's from Southside Chicago too, Oakdale Gardens. Every time when
You
we
got
grew up,
Damien Turnt right now. He's from the South Side too.
Yeah. When we was growing up, me and my brothers, if we didn't know something, my mother used to always say, "Go read a book, go read about it, learn about it, and make sure that that's something you want to do, you want to be about." Because this is the phrase that I pretty much say almost every day, and that she would share with me. The more you read, the more you know. The more you know, the more you grow. The more you grow, the stronger your voice when it's time to make a decision or when it's time to make a choice. And I feel like that these young people nowadays do not even take the time to invest, take the time to learn, take the time to understand, and take the time to grow in the things that they want to be a part of. They want things to be given to them. They want things to be handed to them. They want things to be presented to them without having to do the research and learning the history or the knowledge or everything that what it means to be a part of organizations, to be part of going to HBCUs or whatever the case is. Anything that these young people are involved in, they do not. I just don't think that they take the time to do so. So to the young people, if there is any young people that are listening, and when you share this, Khalif, just take the time to learn, read, and research exactly what, not only in this particular case, not only what these organizations are about, because I guarantee you, once you join and you find that you are a fit for the organization, it will change your life. And not only will it change your life, you would make the fraternity and the sororities a better place. It will make your institution a better place. It will make everybody around you a better place. Because I'm pretty sure we all have experienced this, and I've been experiencing it more so recently in the past couple of years, where there's shorties that I've been knowing since they were 2, 3, 4 years old, graduating from college. You know what I mean? I coach basketball, where there's guys that I used to coach when they was in 5th grade, graduating from college, right about to graduate from college or their junior year, and they're asking me for recommendation letters to get into my frat. You know what I mean? If you ever want to see a grown man cry, check out the videos and the conversation I've had with a couple guys a couple weeks ago when they write me a letter or give me a call because I went to high school with their fathers, or went to college with their fathers, or babysitted them for a couple Saturdays for a co-worker or something like that, and they want to be a part of my organization. Because that's, to me, that's what these organizations, a lot about our organization, our fraternity sororities, that's what it's about. We're making a huge impact on the younger generation, the people that we're in close proximity to, because they're watching us, and we have to make sure that I think Sister Rachel mentioned, we got to make sure that we're doing our part and setting an example now, to others and to our community, to kind of keep this thing going and to kind of weed out these particular individuals, because I don't think these people are that smart to be infiltrated and to come in. I think a lot of it is they just need guidance. I just think that they just don't freaking have a clue. And then we could get into the weeds of the processes of being not what it used to be, and people just coming in for whatever kind of reasons. But I just say this to say to kind of wrap it up. Just do your research, do your part before you join anything, and I promise you that once you become a whatever part you want to become, or who you want to become, it'll be the right thing that you're gonna do.
Thanks for sharing so much, Damien.
So, one thing that I will say uh, to any person that is interested in trying to find out more information about the D9 organizations, I caution you to not jump on the bandwagon of intellectual incompetence and spiritual immaturity because of something that you heard that you haven't seen yourself. Um, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to assume that organizations are about uh, bringing about demonic forces or whatever foolishness it's all about. Uh, be be cautious of the one who's actually shaking the jar. And I'll use this example. If you have a black ant and you have a red ant, and you got a bunch of them, and you put all of them in a jar, and for a second, they are actually working together. They're both ants. They're still trying to find ways in terms of how to work with each other and live in harmony with each other within this jar. And then somebody comes along and decides that they're going to seal the jar, they're going to shake the jar, and all of a sudden the ants on the inside start fighting each other. That's how I feel about some of the people that are doing their denouncements. You haven't realized that certain entities that are outside of the D9 organizations, they're shaking your intelligence and it's causing you to become incompetent. And you need to wake up and realize who is your actual enemy. The main thing that each organization promotes: service in the Black community. Service in the Black community. It has been evident over an extended period of historical times where someone would try to come in and infiltrate the Black community to try to cause a disruption, which in turn winds up causing a division, which in turn winds up causing us to turn on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful to not use your religious ignorance and arrogance to justify why you feel that you have become more spiritually conscious just because you feel like this is the necessary thing to do. If anything, if God has called you out of an organization, it's more than likely probably because you have made that organization your God and you've forgotten where your faith actually is.
Come on.
Got to be careful about that. Got to be careful about that. If you can't be the same, and I'll leave here. If you can't be the same person that you were before you got in the organization, then you don't need to be in the organization at all.
Bars. I want to thank everybody for coming through tonight. I'm not going to hold you. Thank you, Shaw. Thank you, Steele. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Cordell. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Heather. Again, a panel of experts, not people intellectually just saying, oh, you're great. Oh, you're great. I agree. If y'all know us in real life, we don't agree on a lot of stuff. But the point is, you're getting valid information and valued information. So the panel, stay on a little bit as I close this off. To everybody watching here, please, really Do your research, like Brother Tori said. Really, really start to gatekeep certain processes like Rachel and Heather mentioned. Really, really, really find therapeutic sources like Shar mentioned, and she has her business, and you can check out her interview on Speaking with a Sexologist on my YouTube page to get those type of trauma resources. Really dig deep and look beyond the propaganda that's still mentioned and so many other things that were mentioned here. If you know of anybody who may be fooled by the rhetoric, share this video to them, because they're going to get an educated and well-balanced perspectives from about 9 people from different organizations. Big shout out to all Divine 9 people that are in the check-in. Big shout out to Mario. Big shout out to Courtney. Big shout out to Laura and everybody in the chat. Big shout out to DC Carson Music. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. Press rewind one time. Really learn and grow. Everybody in the panel, stay for a little bit. Peace, and we out.